Okay, the story in Nier, I will tell you right now, is fantastic. It's one of my favorite stories for any RPG of all time. Let me tell you why I like it so much. It's kind of a simple story, you can kind of say. It's pretty much a father trying to save his daughter from a disease. But it's done so well, and you meet so many cool characters that have cool side stories of their own that you really feel for some of these characters and feel for the story. It's a very emotional game too, so it definitely has its moments where you're like, oh god, why is it? Oh no, ah, ha, ha. So anyway, let me explain the story. The story I told you already, but I'll tell you a little more in depth. Is a story of Nier, who is a father, and he is trying to find a cure for the sickness that his daughter has called the Black Scroll. And while he's looking for this, he meets up with other characters that could help him, other characters that could help him to get the other character to help him. It's a little weird. And he just meets a whole bunch of other characters that are pretty much the characters that are going to help you go and defeat something or collect a whole bunch of stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of twists in this game. Like, there's gonna be like a big Empire Strikes Back moment where it's like, oh my god, a whole bunch of shit just went bad out of nowhere, and then it just cuts away a couple years later or something like that. I'm like, oh my god, and it's like the story is so well done. It's just I don't want to explain much more of the story because I want you guys to actually, go into the story. I don't want to tell you like, oh, he's collecting this or something to do this. All right. I don't want to tell you any of this stuff. I just want to tell you the basic story, and that is him finding blah, 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 whatever. And if you find out that I gave this a perfect score for it, then don't be surprised, because I really thought this was a fantastic story, one of the best of this year. I keep saying that. I know. I always say that. Alan Wake had one of the best stories. Red Dead Redemption had one of the best stories. Heavy Rain, but this is definitely one of the best. And if I do a award for best story, it would definitely be in the top 5. So anyway, I love this story. And let's go on to the sound of this game. Okay, now the sound in this game overall was actually really good, I have to admit. For a JRPG, it's fantastic, but really good just overall. The voice actors did a great job. The the guy that plays Nier is actually really good. He has some emotion. He sounds like a badass also. He looks like a badass, but he sounds like a badass. Finally, a JRPG character that looks like a badass. Alright? The guys that made Drakengard made this game, and Drakengard had a pretty badass character. I didn't play the second one, but I played the first one, and that had a badass character, and so did this one. So yeah, there's a girl that played Kane, that's her name in the game. Yeah, she is the same voice of Blood Rain, which is cool, and she also voices Chun-Li in the Super Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 4, which is also cool. She's a really cool character also. There's another a guy named I forgot his name, but he voices Grimoire Weiss. His name is Liam O'Brien. There you go, and he voices Grimoire Weiss in this game, and I really like that character. Grimoire Weiss is one of my favorite characters in this game, and he's like kind of like he's a book. I'll just tell you right now, he's a book. I didn't talk about much in the story. I don't really want to, really. I don't want to spoil anything. I want everybody to look at this game and go, wow, that was really inventive. And also I'm terrible at telling stories, so that's one reason too. And he's a really cool character. So overall, the voice acting and the soundtrack itself is actually really amazing. The soundtrack knows when there's going to be a sad moment, when there's a tragic moment, oh, tragic, and when it's sad, oh, sad. And, it knows when there's going to be a sad one. So whenever it goes into a sad song, you're like, oh, sad moment's coming. You gotta get ready, because it's a very sad game, like I said in the story. So overall, sound is really good. Let's go on to the graphics of this game. Seeing that I took a lot of time talking about the sound and the story, I'm going to say the graphics real fast. I'm going to say they're really good, but there's some problems with them. Like, some of the textures are very bland. There's some textures that look terrible. Mainly the grass in the game. If you see grass, it's like a freaking sheet of paper, and it's like has edges and stuff to make it look like grass, and it's green, of course. And I'm like, oh god, come on, that's something I would see on a PS1. And then I see some landscapes like the desert, which look fantastic. I'm like, wow. I thought they looked really good. Sure, some of the textures in these environments I think are fantastic aren't good sometimes, but when you look at them from afar and there's mist coming off from the mountains and stuff, and when you look at some of the lush environments, I thought it was really good for a game that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, sure, like there's other games that came out of nowhere that had great graphics. I can't name any, but really, I thought this was a really good looking game. I still thought it was a really good looking game. The character models are really nice. The animations, the magic, the enemies, The enemies are really cool. I didn't talk about that in the story. Actually, the story I didn't really want to talk about it. It's like an enemy type, which are shades. They're pretty much bad guys. So yeah, the typical bad guys is the shades, but they look really cool, I have to admit. So overall, I just thought the graphics themselves are really good also. So let's go on to the gameplay. Okay, now gameplay in this game is one of those things that people are going to be mixed on. It's a very hack and slash kind of game, but it has a lot of other things going for it, unlike something like 99 Nights 2, which was just freaking unbelievably boring. This is actually really, really fun to action. You get an evade button, you get some block, and it's a hack and slash game. So you get like two buttons, which one does light, one does heavy attack. But you also mix the magic you get. You get a whole bunch of magic. I think you get like 9 spells you can use. Some of them are like a big fist crashing down, or one of them's like a lance you could throw at people. One's like just a kind of like a somewhat of a machine gun thing. You just go boop 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 and just like throw big projectiles at people, and it's really, really cool. The magic's really cool, and there's also a really cool thing in this. It's not a fantastic thing, but when you kill monsters, sometimes you get these words, and you can actually combine these words with your weapons, and when you combine the words with the weapons, they actually give it a power boost, which is really cool. Sometimes it'll be like plus 5% damage, plus 5% magic, plus 5% chance of other item popping up from enemy, or something like that, and it's really cool. I mean, there's a whole bunch of words. I didn't even collect half of them. I got like about 50 of them. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of words and a lot of ways to get, like, different combinations for your weapons to see which one you really like the most. Like, I went with the two-handed sword and bet, like, plus 15 power damage. I was like, oh, I was like throwing that shit like, you wouldn't believe. I was like, oh, die, homos. And I was like, well, I'm destroying everybody. And I was like, yeah. And I had my magic up, was like throwing lances and stuff. There's some problems with it, like sometimes the camera is a little weird, like sometimes you can't control it. Like you can move it a little bit, but it'll adjust straight back in like the back of you. Sometimes you have no control of it at all. Like sometimes the camera just goes into an overhead screen and you have to fight like that. Sometimes it's a little annoying, and the aiming for some of the spells isn't that great. But overall, I thought the gameplay was a lot of fun. I really did think it was a lot of fun, and overall, I really love this game. It's one of my favorite RPGs out there, and I really think you guys should try it. I mean, it's not selling very well. I really think you should try it. Yeah, that's all I really got to say. I really, really loved this game. I did. And I know another game I love this year. It's definitely on my top 10 of favorite games this year. And don't expect me to give it a low score, like or an 8.5 or something. I might even give this like a 9 or something. I really love this game. The story was great. It's a 19-hour game, so it's a pretty good length. I recommend it. You could get it for like $30 now or something, even though it came out in April. I really recommend it. And I'm probably going to buy it whenever I get enough extra money, because there's so many games coming out. But overall, I think it was a great game with great characters, a great story, great emotion, and you also get 4 endings. So you can go and replay this game and blah, and you get different things like stories for different characters. So overall, I really love this game. Check the description for the full written review, and bye.